Now, that person I called the fat bastard is the exception. That I'm not backing up from. That fat bastard, I'm just waiting for the moment where he gets my mind in the right place where I want to go nuclear on him.
I want to play you a clip of Stephen A. Smith issuing another warning to me. I don't know. Yeah, I think we talked about this last week when Stephen A. Smith called me fat bastard. He's back at it again, issuing another warning. I want you to help me dissect what's going on here. Let's play the clip of Stephen A. Smith.
When you know how to conduct yourself, you generate revenue. When you generate revenue, you position yourself for more other opportunities. When you flourish, your team flourishes, especially if you're any kind of decent person who is a giver, which I am. And so those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. I see Steph Curry and LeBron James, and then I think about the stuff that they get themselves into. And you know what I discover? Nothing. They don't get themselves into stuff. They don't. So I guess that would mean when I go at Marcellus Wiley, I might not need to do that. When I go at a Dan Levitard, I might not need to do that. When some other colleague get on my nerves, I might not need to go too far. I might not need to respond to the Kwame Browns of the world and stuff like that. I might not need to respond to every little thing. Now, that person I called the fat bastard is the exception. That I'm not backing up from. That fat bastard, I'm just waiting for the moment where he gets my mind in the right place where I want to go nuclear on him. And at that particular moment in time, endorsement companies and potential endorsement deals and advertisers and sponsors and employers like ESPN or anybody that I'm doing business with down the pike, I would ask them to step aside and grant me this one Milligan where I unleash on his sorry, no good ass. That is the only time that I will ask for that. Any other time, I will do my best to control myself and to reel myself in. Because the bottom line is, when you're doing business, it ain't good business to make bad business. On behalf of myself and my team, it's just not the wise thing to do.
That's Stephen A. Smith. I do want to translate. I believe he said to be granted a mulligan. I think he called it a melligan, but I think he meant to say mulligan. That's a golf term when you get a second shot. Anyway, take it a mulligan. He screwed that up. But other than that, I have a take on this, Cosell, but I want to hear your take before I give my take.
Well, I mean, I'm going to start calling you psoriasis because you've certainly gotten under his skin. I mean, my God. Hey, by the way, Beyonce A. Smith, say his name, say his name. I don't get this. Just say the name, Jason Whitlock. And I get it. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to like him. But this whole declaration that I'm going to go to war and I'm going to put aside things, oh, shove it. Either you're going to do it or you don't. That this isn't really all that important. And Stephen A. Smith is trying to pick his battles. Either you are insulted when people come after you and you go after everyone, or maybe there's also an argument that, you know, certain people get certain special treatment. But there's no doubt about it, Jason, something about what you've said and the way you've done it. Maybe the truth hurts. And I'm actually interested to see when he, quote unquote, hits that red button and goes nuclear, what is it exactly is he going to say? And the one thing I've learned about you, Jason, you are like a turtle. You have a tough shell, because I know this when I retweet you. The reactions that you get and your ability just to let it not even impact you in any way, or to react much more calmly or rationally than I would, or just to flat out ignore it. I know this is much greater than what he can do in terms of taking back the blowback. So Stephen A. Smith's doing a lot of barking, which is fine. He's already thrown a salvo or two. But I do wonder, does he realize these things can go both ways?
I wonder that as well. He's doing some caping up here, I think, for Shannon Sharp, because in my previous comments when they were trying to smear the reputation of certain executives at Fox, I said, hey, be careful or I'm going to expose it all as it relates to Shannon Sharp. And so Stephen A. is caping up for Shannon Sharp, probably doing a little caping up for Deion Sanders as well. There's a part, if you go listen to we didn't play the full context because I didn't want to spend that much time giving the full context of what Stephen A. But he talked a lot about people that work for him. He called out specific names of people that work for him. And then, he said he's got to take care of them. And so he's kind of justifying the way he operates, the way that he picks and chooses his battles, the reason he only takes certain positions and plays the game. He's doing this to sacrifice for all these people who count on him. And so there's a game that has to be played. So that's going to be part of his overall narrative. And then, quite frankly, Steve, it's crystal clear that a former employee of mine, Uncle Jimmy, has found a new shoulder to cry on. He's turned away from Curtis Scorned and now has started crying on Stephen A. Smith's shoulder, Uncle Jimmy. And so what I would say is that, everybody here, Shannon Sharp needs to be careful. Stephen A. needs to be careful. Uncle Jimmy needs to be careful because there's always two sides to every story, and they're really barking up the wrong tree. And so what I'm going to say this and irritate people, but that's just what I do. I'm going to invite Uncle Jimmy onto this show. If there's anything he wants to air out,
oh boy,
love to have him here on this show. I also want to make it clear to Uncle Jimmy that if you want to go on Stephen A. Smith's show and say anything, please do. I will not hold it against you. I will not. There'll be no lawsuit. Whatever this NDA that you're talking about that you're telling everybody you had to sign, please ignore that. Get it off your chest, with your chest out as boldly as you'd like to. Please do. But just understand that by doing it, go on Stephen A. Smith show, come on this show. But just allow me to explain my side of the story. And so if we're all good with that, I'm certainly all good with you saying whatever you like to anybody. You don't have to just go whine on Curtis Scorn's pillow. You can go on Stephen A. Smith's show and say it with your chest out. Stephen A., have him on. I would love it. I would love it. Then tune in and listen to my explanation. And we'll see. We'll let the chips fall where they may. So that's all I would say.
Jason, I just checked my phone for the Google Maps. You know where we are on this Monday? There. Because you just went there. I was like, okay, arriving. Oh, we arrived about 2 minutes ago. Okay, we're there. Here's the other thing. Going back to Stephen A. Smith, there's no doubt that he's not only pandering, but he's martyring himself because he understands that lobbing grenades at you makes him popular to certain segments of social media and Twitter. Let's just be honest about it. And so he knows what he's doing. He's trying to gerrymander his own public opinion and approval ratings. So it is what it is. But I would say to Stephen A. Smith, if you are ready to get down into a phone booth and battle, you better understand that the rules of engagement, they're not what you make it. Oftentimes is what the other person makes it. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm going to leave it there. I've gotten myself into enough trouble. But anybody else, that invitation extends to anybody else. If you happen to have gone to my high school and I gave you the benefit of granting you a job and you have something you want to say, please air it all out. Air it all out. Because I have zero problem with transparency. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.